Hi. You may be thinking that you're not pooping in your doorway and so you don't need this conversation. Hope you're right. Welcome, and this is Let's Talk Turkey with Janie Turk. Thank you for joining me. So, if this is how you typically get up in the morning, if you wake up to that sound of that alarm clock and you hit your snooze alarm repeatedly, not only are people around you super annoyed with you, but it's not a great way to start your day. So we're going to get to the great ways to start your day a little bit later. I want to encourage you, though, to break that snooze alarm habit. So let's talk about sleep. And raise your hand if you're not getting enough sleep. Now, for the past 2 nights in a row, I've gotten over 7 hours sleep, and I'm super, super proud of myself. But the past couple months, I've been averaging 3 or 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, and that's definitely not enough. If you're in the same boat with me, let's go for a ride and see if we can improve that. So, I want you to say out loud how much sleep you think is enough. I'll wait. And if you said 8 hours, because that's probably what you've heard your whole life, I understand. And it might be. But for many of you, it's 9 or 10 or 11 hours of sleep, and there just isn't enough time in the day to do all the things you're responsible for doing and get all the sleep your body needs. Now, some of you might have said, I only need 6 hours sleep a night, and Janie, your 6 or 7 hours is way more than I need. And that can be true too. I'm not going to debate with you how much sleep you need, because I'm going to guess you know what your body needs. I am going to suggest that maybe you need a little bit more than you've been getting. So, what are the costs of not getting enough sleep? And they're huge. I have a big, long list. So, you already probably know how you feel the next day and how you're functioning or not functioning. You may have seen the statistics on when we go to make the change to daylight savings time that automobile accidents skyrocket, right? Because people aren't getting enough sleep when we make that time change. But there are lots of costs, so I'm going to go over those. So, a lack of sleep. First one up there. We see automobile accidents, and they are directly tied to not getting enough sleep. In fact, some studies say that not getting enough sleep is even worse than alcohol. Lack of sleep contributes to serious health issues. In fact, all of your health issues are made worse by not getting enough sleep, and not getting enough sleep can definitely start virtually every negative health issue, all the way up to doubling your risk of dying young. And ironically, considering that all-nighters are a hallmark of being in college, not getting enough sleep does make you not as smart. And I know I can feel this deep in my soul when I haven't had enough sleep, and I'm like, it kills your sex drive. It leads to depression. Lack of sleep makes you less physically attractive. You feel less physically attractive, and according to objective observers, you're less physically attractive. Darn it. Maybe this is a good thing then, that it makes you more forgetful. And it does make you gain weight. Finally, it impairs your judgment, especially about sleep. And I know that we've all had the practice of our math skills. If I go to sleep right now, I can get so many hours of sleep, and that should be enough. That's irrational. So I want you to get all the sleep. And we'll talk about some ways to make that happen. So before I go any further, I have some plants here, and I want to encourage you to have green things growing in your bedroom. So I have jasmine, and I have lavender, and I have aloe vera, all of which have great sleep properties, including improving the quantity and quality of oxygen in the room that you're sleeping in. If these particular plants don't work for you, anything green is going to be helpful in your sleep environment, and I want to encourage you to do that. I also, and I know this is a cyclical thing, right? I want you to reduce your stress, because that is going to help you get better sleep and more sleep. And your diet can have a big impact. So certain foods can make it harder for you to sleep. Certain foods, and I know that turkey and tryptophan has long had a history of people saying it helps you sleep. Enough carbs in your diet help you sleep. And this is something that you want to talk with your doctor about, not your communication teacher. But there are definitely foods that will work better with your system to help you get better sleep. Add in fresh air. So I live in a really hot climate, which means that for most of the year, our windows are closed and we do not have fresh air in the house. And that's one of the reasons why the plants become so important, is because they create that fresh air. If you can sleep with your window open and it's safe, even if it's really cold outside, which I know for many of you it is, I encourage you to have your windows open, and that will help you to sleep better. In fact, if some of you are like, oh, I get too much sleep and then I wake up and I feel groggy, that can often be because your air isn't fresh enough, and so you're breathing in the gases that you are exhaling, and so that's going to make you feel groggier. So sometimes opening that window even just a tiny bit, which will bring in the fresh air and will also lower the temperature, can really help you to sleep more effectively. And so we have to play with the temperature here, because this is pretty much year-round air conditioning, and it can get a little cold, but I like to make it a little bit colder at night when we sleep. And so rather than waking up to your alarm clock going off for the 19th time, I want to encourage you to say out loud when you wake up, I am awake, refreshed, and eager to start my day. So we've been talking about rational messages, and here's the thing. When you get into the habit of practicing any skill, it improves the quality of that skill. And saying this out loud, might annoy your roommate, but it is significantly more effective than the typical cursing or rationalizing you do as soon as you wake up. I know that I am fond of arguing with myself when my alarm clock goes off or my phone goes off, and I'm like, it can't possibly be time to get up. It's much more effective to say, and again, say it out loud, so you're formulating the words and you're hearing them. I'm awake, refreshed, and eager to start my day. And I encourage you, all of you, to say this every single day. It's not going to magically make your hangover disappear, especially if you're still drunk from the night before. It's not going to magically make the illness you've been struggling with disappear or make up for the fact you only got 2.5 hours sleep. However, no matter what the circumstances are, it is going to do you better than cursing at your alarm clock. So, I'm awake, refreshed, and eager to start my day. And you might think I mean exercise when I say work your body. And I think that exercise is a proven tool to help you sleep better and feel better and reduce your stress and improve your communication climate. But that's not actually what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is a couple of things. And the first one is to smile. They've done studies even where you take a pen or a pencil, put it between your teeth, hold it there for 2 minutes, and that imitates the same muscles your body uses when you smile. And smiling creates those feel-good chemicals, so even when you're faking it, even when it's just the pen between your teeth, it can help you to feel better. So I want to encourage you, look in the mirror, smile, it'll make you feel better. I also want you to laugh out loud. I love bad jokes. So I had to find one that was PG rated for here. And I need you to laugh out loud. You can either laugh out loud at me, which is perfectly fine, or with me if you also like bad jokes. So here goes. Did you know that cats can jump higher than houses? This is largely due to the cat's powerful hind legs. And the fact houses can't jump? Please tell me you laughed. Like I said, laughing at me works just the same. Okay, on to our next. This is the superhero stance. And again, this is phenomenal, and the research behind this is super cool. So, stand up right now. Right now, stand up. Put your hands on your hips. Put your chest out, your chin up. Put your feet apart. Look up. Stand there for 2 minutes. I'm not going to pause the video and time you. I want you to do it for 2 minutes, though. Stand up for 2 minutes. Now, the research on this is very clear, that if you do this just for 2 minutes, just one time, that it increases your testosterone and decreases your cortisol. And those are the hormones that you want to go in those directions. You want your testosterone increased, and you want your cortisol decreased, and you will feel better. And they've done lots of really cool research with this, including people that did this for just the 2 minutes were more likely to do better in a job interview, were more likely to be offered jobs by the panel interviewing them. And they had them, spit, take a DNA test, stand for 2 minutes in the superhero stance, spit, take another DNA test, and they could prove that you increased your testosterone and lowered your cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Just by standing in a superhero stance for 2 minutes. So when you say I'm awake and refreshed and eager to start my day, you could leap out of bed, stand like a superhero for 2 minutes, completely freak out your roommate, and make your life better. I encourage you to do that. And the victory stance is another one where the research is really cool. So they found, for instance, that even people who have been blind since birth, so they have never seen anybody do this, that if they achieve a victory are likely to throw their hands up in the air and stand in this victory stance. And again, 2 minutes a day can make a world of difference. So I encourage you to do that. Okay. Good morning. Especially on Mondays. We'll get to Mondays in a minute. Don't be a black cloud. Start your climate off right. So I encourage you to be the person who says good morning to people in the face of those other people who say things like, what's good about it? Because starting the communication off right starts your climate in a direction that is positive. And it is, managing your climate is a lot like the weather. So if the weather is mildly good, it's going to stay mildly good unless something bad happens or if something great happens. But if you start off your climate with a storm, if you start off with the grumpy morning, it's likely to go downhill from there. So start your climate off right every day. We want to be careful that we don't veer into the realm of the toxic positivity, but I also want to be clear in saying that yes, it does take focus and commitment to manage your climate, to improve the quality of your climate. And so little optimism can go a long way. And I love my little upside down turtle. So when I had my knees replaced, part of my recovery packet was signs to put up on my wall. I didn't do that, I'll admit it. However, reading the messages of positive encouragement can really help you. I go to physical therapy multiple times a week, and painted big and loud on their wall is trust the process. And we know that repeating those messages, whatever they are for you, can really help to reaffirm the positive climate, the positive communication climate. So I want you to really work and figure out what those messages should be And that's actually going to be what our discussion board post is about this week. So be thinking about what those messages should be. I promised we'd talk about Mondays. This is one of my pet peeves, the people that bitch about Mondays. Because if you look at the calendar, 1/7 of your life is going to be spent on Mondays, and being upset about them does you no favors. And worse, a whole lot of you spend at least half of Sunday going, oh, heavens, tomorrow's Monday. How am I going to get through another Monday? And I want to encourage you to practice your rationality and stop doing that fallacy of overgeneralization and reframe it. So let's find a new way to think about Mondays. And the one that I use is that Mondays are a fresh start. And I want to say for any of you who work a non-traditional week, you might say, this is my Monday or this is my Friday. Cool, go with that. Whatever your Monday is, I want it to be that fresh start. You know, the cliche, today is the first day of the rest of your life. I know it's super corny. I make a point, though, at the end of my week to wrap up my business for the week. I try and get some major housework done. I try and get parts of my desk cleaned off. I'll make a list of the things that I'm going to accomplish on my next Monday. And then I'm going to put my computer away. I'm going to put my stuff down. So my Friday wrap up, it wraps things up. And that my Monday, I'm like, okay, got a new week, new things to start here. And I'm going to be excited to start them and excited to see what I can make happen this week. And it's really going to help you to manage your climate if you can make that framing change. So I encourage you to do that. And as I said, it helps me to take the climate analogy that the communication climate comes in cycles like the actual physical weather. And so if you can look at your life and you can say, okay, tonight I'm going to see or talk to this friend, and it's likely to be a rainy interaction, or it's likely to be a warm interaction, or it's likely to be full of sunshine and rainbows. Using those weather analogies can help you to understand how you predict your personal climate, but also understand what you can do to moderate your personal climate. And I want to take you on this journey where you are reframing, kind of stopping the narrative and starting anew. So you've probably done 10 times today already. Hi, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? Oh my, right? So we hear that and we're embarrassed when somebody looks at your driver's license and says, happy birthday. And you're like, yeah, you too. Whenever your birthday rolls around, because you got into the rhythm of just the yeah, you too kind of a response. So I want you to be stopping yourself and stopping other people. Take a minute and choose a word. It doesn't have to be one of these words. These are starting places. But I want you to choose a word that you say when people ask you how you are. So instead of saying I'm fine or I'm good or living the dream or working hard or hardly working, that you come up with a positive response that's going to stop them from their groove and stop you from your groove and keep it on this more positive track. So my word is fabulous. And even though this is a word I use multiple times a day and often with the same people, I would say that every day somebody's like, ooh, I like that. And it does help us to improve our communication climate. So I hope you choose a word. And I hope when I see you and I say, how are you, that I'll get to hear your special word. I also want to give you permission. So if you're having a really crappy day, you don't have to tell strangers especially. That's a perfectly appropriate time to say, fine. Okay, moving on. I did a lot of research about grief when COVID hit, and I think that we need to do more conversations about it. We're all going to experience grief. We have all experienced grief. And I want to encourage you to honor your grief, to honor the grief of the people that you love, to know that the happy does always come back, a little wiser, a little stronger, a little more worn, but always as beautiful. That grief is not a temporary, time-sensitive thing. It's an always thing. And so there'll be times that it comes back harder, and there'll be times that it eases. There'll be times that it's deep and hard and seems overcomable, and there are going to be times that it's sweet, bittersweet, gentle. And whatever it is, I want to encourage you to honor your grief and honor the grief of the people you love, because that's one of the many ways that we can, in fact, make our climate better. Like I said, I got into researching grief again during COVID because I learned about collective grief and I learned about anticipatory grief. And those are both things that we experienced as a society during the height of the pandemic. And I don't think they've ever gone away. So we feel collective grief over the things that we collectively lose. And we've had many of those. We also feel anticipatory grief. So I know that during the height of the lockdown, that many of you were probably feeling anticipatory grief about missing prom or graduation or summers with friends. And again, acknowledging, this sucks and I'm grieving is a step towards managing that climate. We went through the stages of grief and you may be familiar with these in terms of dying, but they also apply in every situation where we feel grief. We go through denial, we go through anger, and we may not go through them in this order, but we are going to go through them. Anger and denial are the ones that we're probably most familiar with. We also go through a bargaining phase. Remember when we thought 2 weeks was going to be enough? I told my students, I'll see you back here in 2 weeks. Yeah, that didn't happen. And we feel sadness. And finally, we feel acceptance. And I want to say that for many of us, we're going to go through these stages. To some degree, we're going to repeat them. And not just, I use the example of how we felt during the height of COVID, but certainly when we have lost somebody, whether it's to death or a breakup. That understanding how grief works can really help you to manage your emotions and not let them become debilitating. Many of us work to find meaning in our grief and our anger. We look for what our silver linings are, and that can be one of the ways that we manage our grief. And my clicker stopped working. And then finding balance. So making sure that we're being aware of not just the silver linings and the grief, but that not everything's bad or not everything's sad or not everything's angry or not everything's positive, right? That toxic positivity is a thing too. So I want you to find balance. Come into the present. What can I find joy in today? Where can I find peace today? That can help you. If I could sing, I'd sing Let It Go. I can't sing. I won't do that to you. But definitely let go of the things you can't control. Be sure and be aware of being compassionate with yourself and with other people. Name it. Name the feeling. And keep trying. Stay present. It's not about you, because it's about me. I really believe that other people don't treat us the way that they treat us because of who we are, but because of who they are. And so we've already talked about responding non-defensively. And I just think it's really important to own the fact that yeah, if you're an asshole, people can be bad back to you. But by and large, the way that people are treating you is because of what's going on in their own lives. I remember going to a grocery store in Mount Shasta, and I get up to the front of the line, and the checker looks at me, bursts into tears, and runs away. Wow. I could have been upset. I could have been defensive. Instead, I just really felt compassion. I did not know what was going on, but I knew it wasn't about me. It was about me. A little tiny bit was that cashier knew that I was a safe place and that I was not going to have a fit, and she'd gotten some really bad news and needed just a minute. And so she saw someone in her line that was going to be able to give her just that minute. But by and large, we behave how we behave because of who we are. They behave how they behave because of who they are. So treating people with respect, even when they haven't earned it, I know, right? Assuming that everybody's doing the best they can and giving people the benefit of the doubt makes my life so much easier. Again, not about you. It's about me. So if I assume that people are doing the best they can, I still have the right to say that best isn't good enough and I need better from you. Or because your best isn't good enough, I'm going to move on. But if we really believe that people are doing the best they can and give them the benefit of the doubt, it makes it so much easier in our souls. I encourage you to do that. It's a gift you can give yourself. And we get there to the don't poop in your doorway. I know, you didn't think you did. Studies say, though, that you do. We get into this routine, and we come home at the end of the day, and we ask each other the worst question. We ask, how was your day? And then we find those bad moments, and we dump them right in the doorway. We poop right in the doorway. We recall all of the bad things that happen, and we let loose. We come home to our safe space, and then we ruin that safe haven by pooping in the doorway. We're going to stop that today. We come home to that safe space, and we play the one down game, where I say, oh my gosh, you'll never believe what horrible thing happened to me today. And the only response you're ever going to get back is, do you think that was bad? Let me tell you about my awful experiences today. We play the one down game where the person who lost the most wins. Stop that. Instead, I want you to practice telling me something fabulous about your day. I first started this when my kids were little, and yes, it meant that I was the bad mom who my kids would get home. They would be doing the pee-pee dance in the doorway, and I would say, you can't come in until you can tell me one really fabulous thing about your day. And the first week it was pretty awful. First week they were mad at me and doing the pee-pee dance in the doorway. And then everything changed. And then they started paying attention to the good things that happened during the day, so they could be the first one to tell me the fabulous things that happened. Now, some of you will end up playing this game at your dinner table. Some of you will play it at the doorway. But I will tell you that this is a much better question than how was your day. Asking people to say, what was your win today? Tell me the one thing that was your favorite moment of the day, or the one part of the day where you felt the most successful. Those questions are good questions and are going to help you all to focus on those good things and to see your days differently. Breathe it in. Beautiful, right? So we need different things when we come home. And the way that we've dealt with those different things, unfortunately, has been to poop in the doorways. Instead, some of you need decompression. And this has often been seen along gender lines, but maybe not for you, certainly not for me. But if you need that 30 minutes when you get home to decompress, or your partner needs that 30 minutes when they get home to decompress, figure out a way to give each other that time. So for me, it's been a kiss when I come in the door, and then I might go take a shower or read for half an hour or catch up on emails, but quiet, alone time, listening to music, and give me that decompression time. For years I commuted, more than a decade, and my commute was about an hour and a half each way, and that gave me that decompression time, and I loved it. I mean, I hated the drive, but I loved the decompression time. Some of you need reconnection. And if those are your opposites, if those are the ways that you interact differently, honor them both. So if my partner needs that reconnection, that's going to be the kiss in the doorway. If my partner needs that decompression, it's going to be the go do your thing for half an hour. Whatever it is, make sure that you're honoring your way of coming home, honoring their way of coming home, without pooping in the doorway. Your way, their way, no poop in the doorway. So that's where you can ask the better questions of the telling me something fabulous about your day. That's how you can, after you've decompressed, when you're reconnecting, you can ask those questions to tell me something fabulous about your day. If your partner needs decompression time, don't hit them with this in the doorway. Don't be the mean mom that I was. Yes, your home needs to be the safe space you can vent. If you follow the decompression, reconnection, tell me something fabulous about your day, something interesting happens. Some of those things you may have thought you needed to vent about evaporate. They disappear. If they don't, that's okay, because you're dealing with them not in the doorway where the shit's piling up, but you're dealing with them in the cocoon of a safe, reconnected fabulousness of the day. And it's not going to be the same as pooping in your doorway. So sometimes the venting stuff just disappears, sometimes it's still there, and you want to honor that as well. Because you want your home to be that safe haven that does not feel like you're walking into a booby-trapped doorway where everyone is dumping all of their negativity and tarnishing that safe haven. So, sleep, work it, be awake, refreshed, eager to start your day. Grieve, honor your grief. Remember that it's not about you. Don't poop in your doorway. Stop it. Instead, reframe it. Decompress. Reconnect. Make that home a safe haven. So your discussion board this week, I hope, is super fun. You have your one post by Wednesday. I want you to write a positive, encouraging message to the class. So it can be, hey class, and I want it to be a positive, encouraging message for every single member of your class. Not on the discussion board But out in the real world, in your environment, I want you to have an additional post. You can use a sticky note, or you can use a whiteboard in one of your classrooms, or whatever you want, but in your environment. And I'll just say I have a sticky note in my bathroom mirror. I want you to write a positive message to yourself. I want you to write a positive message to someone that you care about. And then by Sunday, I want you to come back to the discussion boards, read your classmates' posts, respond to 2 of them, and respond in a way that talks about how you felt about what they had to say. And then your sim journal this week, after you've responded to your classmates' discussion board posts, I want you to do a climate simulation journal entry, so put climate and the date. And then, was the technique of posting the notes effective? Why or why not? What are your reminders for next time? And those reminders might be how you're going to use positive messages. And finally, is this skill integrated? Are you good at pooping in your doorway? Are you good at managing your climate with appropriate kinds of messaging? And in case no one said it today, I love you. This has been Let's Talk Turkey with Janie Turk. If this is content you appreciate, please like, follow, and share. Have a really fabulous one.